different. You wear a crown as well.
Yes, we do.
You do? Lovely.
Yes, we wear a crown. Well, actually, it's a beanie that's pronged like a crown.
Is it really?
Yes, so I mean, the goal of this Jughead character is to not beat the fact that he's Jughead over the audience's Juggy heads. You know, he's not going to be consuming 7 cheeseburgers actively in a pyramid on screen, but there are nice little nods to that. Like, he's almost always eating something. There's like the remains of a finished dish in front of him, and he has this beanie crown, which is that. You know, it's a nod towards his origin while not, you know, just beating it over your head in a careless kind of way.
In the comics recently, there was this big step where Jughead came out as asexual. Is that going to be true of your Jughead?
That is Chip Zdarsky's universe.
Yeah.
First off, I love that they announced as asexual. I think that's awesome. But I know that we're leaning a little bit. If we're to liken ourselves towards any of the universes created by the current Archie staff, we're definitely leaning more on the Mark Waid, Fiona Staples version. So I don't know what Jughead's sexuality is going to be like in this currently. I know that first and foremost, Jughead's real love is himself, and he's still a selfish character. He's a sardonic, sarcastic, observant. You know, he's still the observer on the outside. But he's still like locanously selfish, and I think so in terms of sexuality, I don't know. But I don't think it's going to be Chip Zdarsky's Jughead. I think it's definitely going to be new and different, because this is a new and different universe, so we can't really expect the same.
What are you looking forward to most at
Comic-Con? Well, I got to go to the Nerd HQ party last night, and I got to play the new Final Fantasy, which I was stoked about. I'm pumped. And it is fantastic. So anything that allows me to get my hands on some unreleased video games right now is where I'll be hit.
One of my good friends works for Sprouse.
I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, but I was so excited to get my hands on this. The gameplay is so good in this. It's so much fun.
Have you been down to Square Enix downtown?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, I got in yesterday. We've sort of been running around at high speeds.
I want to ask you, also a photographer.
Yes.
What is one of the strangest things that's happened to you?
As a photographer, you get a lot of... So, this is a project I should not tell you guys about, but I will. One of my school projects for my photography class, I ended up trying to get real emotion out of people, so I waited for filled taxi cabs to stop at stoplights, and I would get in the taxi with them and take a picture of the moment that I got in the taxi cab. And just crazy, just risky stuff.
You're a monster.
I was a monster. This was a monstrous thing to do. But there was a single woman who was with her entire family, by the way, and she was like an older woman. And when I got in the cab, she smiled for the camera. It was a really uncanny kind of dialogue. That was something that scared me, because it was clearly a moment in which it was vulnerable. It's a jeopardizing moment. Someone just gets in the car all of a sudden, and she just looked at the camera and smiled for the camera. It was really, really creative. Now, that was probably the single strangest thing that's happened to me as a photographer, and the strangest thing to do as a photographer, but sometimes you gotta get some weird, cool shots.
Why do you think the Archie universe has survived as long as it has and endured for 75 years?
The way that I've been describing it just now was that the Archie cast is kind of like a theater troupe that just kind of enters into very many different universes. And it's managed to stay relevant because it's doing cool, fun, interesting things with a cast of characters. But it's also a comic property that's not super. And I think that's really important. It's always been a fundamentally teen cast. And right now we're hitting a place with this version of our theater troupe where we're addressing a lack of a lot of teen dramas on television right now, and we're doing so in a film noir way. It's very much like Brick. And I think it managed to stay relevant because people still find likenesses to the cast, to the archetypes of Archie. we'll continue to entertain them and do some interesting new fun things with them. I mean, if zombies can come to Riverdale, I don't think this is going to be too far of a stretch for people wanting to see this version. I liked it. I don't think it needs to be more complicated than that, honestly. I really enjoyed the content. It's challenging. When I was given the audition, it was like 2 to 3 pages of a monologue for Jughead's narration. And that looked fun and hard, and that seemed interesting to me. It's also super film noir, which I'm a huge, fan of that genre, and I wanted to try my hand at it. And 2, I really like Jughead's character. He's a weird, creepy, sardonic observer character, and I think because he's the point of view of this show, it looked interesting. But I don't think it needs to be more complicated. It's just fun. I liked it.
So you're a little sad they're not letting you eat 7 cheeseburgers?
A little bit, mainly because free food is free food. But no, we're definitely going to be playing with gluttonous Jughead. But it's not going. We're not going to beat you over the head with it to where you're like, okay, we get it. He's Jughead. Like this, it's going to be. Everything about this show is finely tuned. And we're really trying to hit a certain kind of feeling and mood with this. And Jughead that eats 7 cheeseburgers on screen is definitely going to be against the mood of that.
Yeah.
So we're going to find another way to keep that fundamental Jughead without breaking the tone.
People, when they first heard about Riverdale, before it was cast, anything like that, Roberto was describing it as like, oh, it's Riverdale, it's Archie meets Twin Peaks, and there was a lot of criticism for that.
Yeah, that's...
I was going to say, what's your response to people who say that they're not into that?
Well, first off, I have a personal issue with saying Twin Peaks because I'm a Lynch fan, and I don't think anything will ever come close to that. That being said, we are definitely taking huge cues from the tone of Twin Peaks. And I think the cool thing about Archie, going back to how multiplicitous its universes really are, is we're just another version of an existing town and cast of people that have already had so many iterations. So I come from a comic book background. The second I hear one of my beloved properties is going to have a dark and gritty take or a new take, I get incendiary. Yeah. I mean, it gives me heat flashes. But the cool thing about Archie is that it's already super multiplicitous. It's not like a single Jughead has ever existed, so you have to be that Jughead or you're doing a disservice to the fans and the character. That's not how this fan base has existed. And after seeing such an overwhelming and positive response to the way the pilot has taken place, I think people are going to be primed for this. I think the audience is going to be primed for this, and I think they're really going to love it. And if we can capture even the smallest amount of Twin Peaks in something like this, we're solid.
I think it's funny that people use that as like a criticism, because the thing is, like, Twin Peaks in a way already was Archie meets Twin Peaks.
Exactly right.
Twin Peaks was about the Archie archetypes.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. So I mean, I think really the only criticism we're getting is because the thought of beloved comic properties doing something new always immediately brings a reaction out of beloved comic book fans that is a bit incendiary. But that's my jerk reaction whenever I hear about a comic property. And I know you guys are comic book fans too. I know that's how everyone reacts when they hear about a new version of this. But again, I'll say it, Archie, if the Punisher can come to Riverdale, if the Predator is in Riverdale, I don't think, a sleuth Jughead is going to be something that's so off the wall. So I think that means we're in good shape. And also, this is a smart show and really well written and done by the lead creative officer of the Archie comic books. I mean, it's not like we're getting some schmo off the street who's never had any experience with Archie comics. No, we're getting the biggest fanboy that exists for Archie comic books, and he's the one going, this is all right. It's like saying, that's not the attitude of an award winner, but no, you won the award. This can't be divorced from Archie. It is Archie.
Just out of curiosity, are you a fake Miller fan?
Yeah, a little bit.
I figured.
Yeah.
That's what you said, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I used to work at Meltdown Comics when I was younger. Yeah,
My friends do shows there.
I've been immersed in this culture for I was raised in this. One thing I know that Roberta's taken big cues from is the comic Black Hole. I don't know if you guys know which was my personal favorite when I grew up.
Good reference.
Which I think would be an interesting place to take off with a lot of these characters. It's like a super trippy. I mean, it's very much what we're going for. Jughead's character, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Brick, but it's basically a film noir set in a high school drama, and that's Jughead's character. Jughead is very Joseph. That's like those two characters are pretty much exactly what we're going for.
Are you looking forward to the next series?
A little bit. Again, my knee-jerk reaction is always a little bit trepidatious. But we have Machen on our show, and just the way that she alludes to it means it's still in the right hands. Obviously, it's in the right hands. So, I'm excited. Yeah.
How was the whole cast put together? It seems like pretty close.
Super solid. Surprisingly solid, actually, because I was a cynical Squidward-like man myself. I ended up really kind of fearing the worst and just expecting the worst when you get with a cast of people your age. But we get along so well that I think that means it's going to work. That's all you have is a solid connection that hopefully bleeds through to the actual chemistry on the screen.
Is there a particular conversation you had with Roberto that stands out in your mind as being enlightening?
About my character or about the show itself?
Either one.
Both. Well, the Black Hole conversation really was it. We don't. We're trying to. We really want the fans to like it. Not every conversation with Roberto bleeds that through because he's the biggest fan of this. He really wants us to succeed. And I think because we really want the Archie fans to enjoy this and people who don't know the Archie series as well, it's going to be enjoyable. That's really the truth, because we're not looking to do a disservice, especially to comic book fans. We're looking to entertain them in a new, weird way with the same theater troupe that's just inserting itself into, a strange murder mystery. It's cool.
What's KJ like on set?
The best. I actually really talented, just like savant talented. You know what I mean? Just like prodigal. When you watch someone do something and you can tell they're so good at it, but there's not too much overthinking involved. That's KJ. KJ is just like, it works because he's a great actor from some talent that he's just with. It's genetic. I'm not a religious man myself, but it's prodigal. Now, when I first saw that KJ was cast, I stalked his Twitter a bit. I was a little trepidatious I would get along with KJ. There was a single picture, and I still give him crap about it, where he's like flexing his biceps, and he's got a Red Bull in each hand. And I was like, all right, this is what it's gonna be. I went into it, but KJ and I are legitimately two peas in a pod. We really are, and surprisingly so. I mean, we come from very, very different backgrounds and two different parts of the world, but we're solid. I mean, we hang out all the time outside of stuff. I'm excited to get started. I'm excited to show the relationship between Jughead and Archie and have that friendship move through on the screen. I think it will.
And so I haven't seen the pilot, but you do voiceover.
Yeah, I'm the narrator.
So what's your strategy going into a voiceover session? It's very different from reacting.
Blow my nose, drink a lot of water. I do this thing. I guess I'm a spitty person.
Spitty?
Yeah. So I do this. Or like I'm like a dentist tool. I get all the saliva out of my mouth. No, it's different because you also want it to be a film noir narration. It's not just a narration. It's a film noir narration, which is a very specific genre. So I'm trying my hand at it. I know I'm going to get better at it over the season, but right now I feel pretty confident with it. So I'm just going to keep finely tuning it, watching my movies and listening to those narrations and trying to copy even a modicum of that.
You're a fan of Mr. Robot's narration?
I actually haven't seen Mr. Rama, but I know a ton of people.
Yeah, I've never
so I have to.
Is it good? I've never seen it.
Yeah, Yeah, it's great. It has, I mean, it's weird, but it has great voiceover narration. But anyway, Rami Malek, who does that, said it's a totally different process from actually like acting with people.
It totally is. I did a couple of voiceover things when I was younger. Even the fact that you show up in your pajamas is immediately anthropologically just a different kind of immersion. You know, how you approach that, how you immerse yourself into that environment is very different. It can also be a little bit sterile because it's hard because you're in the booth, you're not acting across from somebody, you're just in this padded room across from a mic, so it makes it easier to close your eyes and try and listen to yourself speak and feel it out as if you were staring in a mirror. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just get a mirror and just place it across from me like I'm speaking to it or something. Make it a little easier.
Do you have to memorize your lines for those, or do you just...
Yeah, I like to memorize it all way ahead of time.
Oh, okay. Hey, man.
Oh, hey! How's it going? Hey, Cole.
KJ, nice to meet you. You Riverdale?
Yeah, really big handshake.
Oh.
So you're Kiwi?
Yep.
Aussie?
Are you? Where are you from?
I'm actually Californian, but I lived in Australia.
Okay. Oh,
I
sick.
went to Bond Uni.
Awesome.
Where you from?
I'm from Auckland, New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Australia's way better.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
Too Kiwi.
She's an actual Kiwi.
Yeah, she's a Kiwi.
So what's it like?
It's kind of surreal. It's my first time at Comic Con, my first time in San Diego, so yeah, it's cool to see all these fans and how intense it is. I've seen people sleeping overnight over here. It's pretty crazy. I would never do that.
Why do you think the Archie universe and the character of Archie have endured for 75 years?
I think it's because, I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's so relatable. Like, I remember when I read these comics before I started filming, I was just like, man, I would love to be in this world. Like everything's such a breeze. Like to be Archie would just be like the life.
Yeah.
And
Like
then
going
you
to
got dropped in this room, it's not a
yeah. This is a lot more intense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stayed relatable. It really has.
Yeah.
What is it like to play such an iconic character?
It was nerve-wracking at the beginning, coming from New Zealand, playing such a all-American character. It was kind of daunting on me because I was scared that the fans, the aggressive Archie fans, would be unhappy with a non-American playing this character. But it ended up being not even a thing. I didn't hear anything from it.
How do you find like how to be an all-American boy? What sources do you look to? Inspirations?
I mean, watching movies, I guess, is like a classic way to see it.
That's how we construct our idea of what it's like to be.
Because our lives, like, growing up in a high school in America is a lot different to going to high school in New Zealand, I think. Would you agree with that? Like the whole, like you guys call sophomore, like I don't know what the word sophomore meant, like you being in the senior year.
I was homeschooled.
But yeah, I had to definitely brush up on those things.
What kinds of movies did you watch that gave you a sense of what it's like to be?
I remember actually watching Glee before shooting this.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I watched Glee and they're kind of similar in a way, but like the whole high school environment vibe.
I mean, that's the way I watched Heathers. Probably not. Citizen Kane. Probably not a good one.
The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody was a big inspiration for me.
Hey, that's not that far off from the Archie universe.
Yeah,
Everything's a breeze, everything works out.
I actually watched that show when I was little, and when I met him, I was like,
I was such a fanboy. I just said, "Get off me, dude. Get the hell away from me."
If Archie were to come to Comic Con, who do you think he might cosplay as?
who do you think what?
He would cosplay as? Yeah, if Archie were to come to Comic
You're
Con.
gonna
Oh, he'd come as Jughead for sure.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
No, Jughead would show up as a video game character, definitely.
As what, sorry?
As a video game character, for sure. I used to cosplay, actually,
Oh, really?
at a couple of conventions, but that's a dark part of me. We don't talk about that, alright?
KJ, what's it like the first time you put on that wig?
It's not a wig.
Oh.
Yeah, it's my real hair. They dyed it.
Oh, sorry.
They did an amazing job as well.
It looks a lot like Donald Trump's hair, so I
But like, what does it do for you as an actor?
100%. I wouldn't have done the show if they were like, oh, this Archie. Well, I mean, obviously I would have done it, but like, if I had to decide whether to dye my hair or not, I would have 100% done it because Archie obviously has to have red hair. You know?
Like, when you have that on, you look at yourself in the mirror. Does that help you find the character at all?
100%. 100%. Yeah, it's definitely helps.
Yeah, they dyed. I'm a natural blonde.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
No, but there is. It's just part of the process, you know. You just find a new version of yourself with a new look. We don't realize just on a day-to-day level how much our outer appearances affect our interactions with the world and the world's interactions with us. And I think from an acting perspective, if you're putting yourself into a new costume or wardrobe, you're inherently asking for a relationship to your environment that determines how you interact with the world. And whether it's red hair or black hair or, you know, a leopard spotted one piece, you're asking for a relationship with your environment that's going to affect how you treat it as well, and that certainly bleeds into acting. Certainly bleeds.
What's it like having Luke Perry on set, having to play your dad?
It's
He's the man.
Yeah, he's the man.
He's actually the man.
Yeah. If I was to use a word, 2 words, it should be the man. He's just the man.
He's the man.
He's the
But it's also nice to have such a veteran.
Yeah.
You know, who's someone who's done this and been through these ropes and seen mistakes and understands how to operate with them and probably made some mistakes and understands what it's like to learn those lessons. I mean, it's really valuable for you as an actor. But anytime you're surrounded by someone who's a longer lived actor.
And in saying that, like having Cole on board as well is kind of epic because, like with events like this, which you know he's obviously gone through, it's good to like asking for advice and stuff. I'd have to ask him all the time for advice for like interviewing and stuff. For me, was never something that came naturally to me.
It's coming a lot more natural.
I think so.
Yeah, you're using your dialogue is definitely getting a lot better.
I think
we.
yeah.